Okay, hello everyone. I'm DC. Welcome to me Learning to Live again. Hope you're all well, having a good day or night, wherever you may be. First off, before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone for liking and subscribing. We've just gone over 300 subs at the moment, so that's really great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Today, I want to talk to you about, well, I'm going to show you a little bit about Japan. I want to show you a couple of things that I recorded while I was there. For instance, the Japanese supermarket. But first off, I want to talk to you about the blue zones and the myth of Asians and Japanese eating a lot of soy and plant-based diets. So let's have a look at that first. Okay, so this is the blue zones, that the UN and WHO and everything, they use to try and convince us that we should all go vegan and so on. Now, the people that wrote these articles and whatnot, they themselves are vegan, so you're not going to get a lot of bias in there, are you? But now, in particular, I'm going to talk about Japan, and I'll show you links to other people who debunked the rest of it. But I lived in Japan for 10 years. I've recently just come back from Japan, and I'm going to show you, like, this is just utter nonsense, the whole lot of it. Yes, they do have, well, they are known to live longer than most people in the West these days, but there are a number of reasons for that, and I'm going to show you some of them in the next few videos on Japan. A lot of it's not, of course, a lot of it is diet, but it's also the fact that they are very active as well. Now, for example, this so-called Blue Zone website, okay, they will show you that like 67% of their diet is sweet potatoes, which is just ridiculous. Only 2% is fish, meat, and poultry. Okay, this is just absurd, to say the least. Now, one of their recommendations is to eat more soy. They say that the Okinawan diet is rich in foods made with soy, like tofu, miso soup. Flavonoids in tofu may help protect the heart and guard against breast cancer. Fermented soy foods contribute to a healthy intestinal ecology and offer even better nutritional benefits. Now, this is utter garbage, honestly. So the thing is, okay, talking about Okinawa, they're famous for the amount of pork that they eat. For example, they eat an amazing amount of pork. Right. Yes, of course, they eat vegetables and fruit, and they are very active gardeners. A lot of Japanese, right through Japan, have their own gardens and will grow vegetables. My in-laws, for example, do the same. But they eat meat in every single meal. They eat a lot of seafood, and they eat a lot of pork. They eat a lot of beef, chicken, and they eat organs. They eat a lot of organ meat as well. They will eat kidney, liver, and even the bowel of the animal, okay? And this I will show you, okay? The fact that this Blue Zone trying to tell you that they eat a lot of soy. Soy products didn't actually enter the diet until much later, until after the 60s and 70s, which obviously wouldn't have been something that the elder generation of Japanese would have been eating anyway. It wouldn't have been available. For example, they're talking about Japanese who have lived well past 100 or in their 90s and up to 100 years old and older. They did not have this available, and I'll show you that. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Kayla Daniel. She's going to talk about soy.
Is GRAS status, generally recognized as safe in the food supply. And I'm here to let you know that soy protein isolate, soy protein concentrate, and other soy protein products have never received official safe food status. Now, how can that be? Most foods that were in the food supply prior to 1958 were grandfathered in. But here's the thing. Soy protein isolate and other soy proteins were not then used as food. They were used as binders and sealers with cardboard packaging. That's right. Industrial uses, not in the food supply. Fast forward ahead to 1979, the SCOGS Committee, the Select Committee on GRAS Substances, was investigating soy, and they did not like what they were finding. What were they finding? Carcinogens such as nitrosamines and toxins such as lysinoalanines that appear in soy protein isolate as a result of modern industrial food processing methods. And here's the thing. They were not concerned about how much of these carcinogens and toxins we would get from eating soy, because back then nobody was thinking about soy as a staple food, much less as a health food. No, here's the thing. They were thinking about soy protein isolate flaking off the cardboard box and getting into the Cheerios or other food product that you were going to eat. That was their concern. And yet 2 decades later, our FDA approved a soy prevents heart disease health claim, totally bogus. But then, of course, our FDA has also given us Vioxx and aspartame and other unhealthy substances. So I do think the SCOGS Committee is rolling in its grave. What else do we need to know? Well, I go into these and other topics more thoroughly in my book, The Whole Soy Story, The Dark Side of America's Favorite Health Food, and visit my website, Dr. Kayla Daniel.
Okay, so as you said, it was never meant to be it was never a staple diet, and certainly not a health food. Okay, so it wasn't available for the oldest generation that they're talking about in Japan, for example. If they're 90, 100 years old, like they just didn't have these soy products, these tofu products and things like that. They do have now. They have, and they've for quite some time they have eaten what they call natto, which is fermented soybeans, okay, and other fermented vegetables that they have always eaten, okay. But this is not a staple of their diet. It's a very, very, very small percentage of their diet, okay? The largest portion of their meals and the staple of their diet has always been meat. Now, this was difficult for them to get in this oldest generation through, who lived through the Second War and times before that, of course, because it was very expensive, obviously. But generally speaking, meat has always been a staple of their diet. Okay, so we also talk about miso, soy sauce, and things like that. Of course, miso is a soy product, so is soy sauce, but these are very much fermented, processed soybeans as well. But again, this is not something they eat all day, every day. It's a very small portion of their diet. Sure, they dip their sushi in soy sauce sometimes and other sauces, okay? But it's not obviously part of, it's not the staple, doesn't mean that it's the staple of their diet, okay? So how much soy do Asians actually eat? Okay, well, let's listen to Dr. Kayla Daniel again, and we'll see.
How much soy do Asians really eat? That's our question today. I'm Dr. Kayla Daniel, the naughty nutritionist, and the answer is going to surprise you. Not very much. Now, I know we've all heard the marketing myth that Asians eat soy for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, but that's what it is, a marketing myth designed to sell soy. The truth is, Asians eat soy as a condiment in the diet and not as a staple food. And that's true wherever we go in Asia. Now, Asia, of course, is a huge continent with many different people, many dietary customs, many different lifestyles, but wherever we go, that's how it's eaten, as a condiment in the diet and not as a staple food. So maybe you think we should eat a lot of soy because T. Colin Campbell recommends it in his popular book, The China Study. But he's a vegan after all. But let's go back and look at the study. Let's look at the China Cornell Oxford study itself. I've read it, hundreds of pages. Campbell and a team of researchers went to 6,500 people in 130 villages in China to look at their dietary intake. And here's the thing, they didn't even look at soy. They investigated legumes and reported 12 grams a day, which to start with is not very much. And not even all of that is soy.
Okay, so the thing is, you know, these Blue Zone recommendations, for example, and other recommendations on tofu are completely bogus, mostly written by people with some sort of agenda behind it, be it, you know, veganism or, you know, some other ridiculous sort of agenda. Now, there are many other problems associated with soy, and especially the way it is grown, okay, because you have a lot of carcinogenic sort of pesticides and everything that come with it. So what I'll do now is I'll show you, there are a couple of different studies done throughout the years that prove, you know, that there are reasons why they want you eating soy. And there's, you know, this soy oil is in most processed foods today, which is why we have a lot of problem due to, obviously processed foods have a lot of other ingredients, but soy oil is also one of them. For example, protein powders, protein bars, for example, they're supposed to be health bars, you know, food bars, are full of soy oil. Then you get all sorts of snacks and all these other things that are, you know, soy milk and other things that are. Now, some of the other snacks that you get soy oil in and soy additives in, the not so obvious snacks, such as things like bacon and jerky, meat jerky. Okay. Recently I went to Costco, for example, and on the label, on the ingredients for every single beef jerky and pork jerky that was available, soy was another additive, soy protein. Now, why would you want to add soy protein to beef and pork anyway? Obviously, it would have enough protein, wouldn't it? All right. So it is in most processed foods and some very unlikely sort of foods. So it's something you should keep an eye on and should always read the labels for. Okay. Okay, so another video you should probably check out. You should have a look at Food Lies. I'll put the link in the description, with debunking blue zones with Mary Ruddock. Mary Ruddock is a nutritionist who's done an extensive amount of study and travel throughout these blue zone areas. So I'll put a link in the description. And
right, a lot of foods have a
very good
binding aspect to it. So if you take white rice, it has thiamine binding protein. And so it's going to bind to all the thiamine, which is B1 for the audience. When you get a B1 deficiency, you get beriberi or dysautonomia. You get demyelination of the nerves, and you can't really move. You don't have the energy to move. You can die from it. And it's been in the historical books since about 2000 AD, actually. It's been there, but not as a large percentage of the population. So that would happen in a region that eats white rice or some of the other foods like cassava that can bind to thiamine, but do not eat the thiamine-rich foods. So you will always see something like cassava or white rice in regions that eat pork and fish, and a lot of them. If you just decide you don't like pork, maybe you don't have the taste buds for it, and you eat the rest of the traditional diet, even 1,000 years ago, you could set yourself up for beriberi by having the rice without the pork. So that's where you get
pork is high thiamine.
Very high thiamine. It's one of the few foods that is high thiamine. Thiamine is a hard nutrient to get, and it's utterly important.
Okay, so as I said before, you know, the Okinawan diet is very high in pork. Okay, it is probably one of the main staple of their diet. And of course, all through Japan, they eat a lot of seafood, and they eat all kinds of seafood, absolutely anything that swims. And the same goes with the meat. They eat nose to tail, beef, chicken, pork, as well as the seafood. All right. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to show you a little bit from a Japanese supermarket from my first day in Japan, because the first thing I did was go shopping. Okay, first off, this is butter. Now, this butter, the only two ingredients was raw milk and salt. Okay, it is completely different to what you get here in Australia. Raw dairy products are illegal. You have to, all dairy products have to be pasteurized here. And this is, you know, it's beautiful butter. It really is. It just tastes completely different to what you get here in Australia. It's full fat, raw milk products. Now, we're starting off just rows and rows of meat products here in the supermarket. Now, 50% of this supermarket was dedicated to meat. All right. So you get all these different things made. This is all different pieces of the meat as well. They have all sorts of organs. They'll have liver, obviously, and kidney, and even the bowel. Okay, it's quite often they eat the bowel because it's full of collagen. Okay, and I'll show you that in the all-you-can-eat meat restaurants that we went to most days while in Japan. Now they have all sorts of, now you see some of this meat is very thinly sliced already. Now they usually get it this way because they like to just slap it on the barbecue and straight onto the plate as quickly as possible, so it's cooked right through, sort of thing. What they call it, like their barbecue style, like yakiniku tabe holidays and things like that. Yakiniku barbecues. They have full-size steaks, and you know, it goes, like I said, there's all kinds of meat here. There's pork, beef, seafood, of course, chicken, and all parts of the animal. Yeah, none of it gets wasted in Japan. Another thing is, you'll see these packs of steaks. Okay, there is a small cube of lard. They come in the pack, and you cook, you know, for you to cook the beef in, or whatever meat you get, to cook it in lard. All right, so this is a Japanese supermarket, all right, and there is just so much meat available. and very reasonable price, much cheaper than here in Australia. Even Australian beef is actually cheaper to buy in Japan. So go figure that one. These are all different packs. You can even get gyutang, what they call gyutang is beef tongue. It will already be sliced. Okay. It's really very very convenient actually to buy meat in Japan, in a Japanese supermarket. You don't have to do very much preparation at all. You can just take it home and straight in the pan or straight on the barbecue and eat. And there are literally just rows and rows and rows and rows of meat. Okay. Fresh fish. You can see part of this seafood, a lot of it is, of course, you got different meat from the fish, but they also have the roe, the fish eggs, different squid, octopus, and more. Here's the roe. Then you have, obviously, you have some organs. They also have lunch packs already made up for you in these supermarkets. They'll have sushi packs, and some of these sushi packs will have beef in them as well. You'll have all ready to go. You can pretty much just walk in, grab your lunch, and you're ready to go. Now, this is one of the steaks I bought. As you can see just there, the little cube of lard that you can cook with. Okay. So the thing is, this whole blue zone lie, basically, is all based on people who are trying to push a soy agenda, you know, like a veganism agenda, because, well, obviously for their own reasons anyway. But you know, the older generation in Japan, for example, they wouldn't have had these products available to them in their early life. Okay. And it is a complete lie that they don't eat much meat. A plant-based diet in Japan is just ridiculous. They eat meat morning, noon, and night. Okay, it's not always beef. Obviously, they eat a lot of pork, chicken, and seafood. You know, a very common breakfast in Japan would be salmon and rice and vegetables, okay, and you know, something heavier at lunchtime and dinner. All right, so I hope that's been helpful and a little bit eye-opening for you. And you know, just if you do want to stay healthy and like the Japanese, for example, one of the things is to be very active, and another is to eat a lot of meat. Okay. They also know portion control. They are very controlled when it comes to overeating as well. So, you know, these are the three keys, really. Just portion control, meat, and activity, because they are very active people. Okay. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you again soon. All right. Take care. Have a great day.